When I sit on this bench, I'm required to weigh not just the law, but common sense and human nature. This case is not a simple matter of theft. It is a story of parental failure and the darkness that hides behind teenage friendships. Before me stand two juveniles who, driven by a momentary thrill, threw their futures away for a serious crime. The dispute between the plaintiff, Miss McCoy, and the defendant, Marcus, and his mother, centers on a truck and a string of disastrous midnight decisions. When they were plotting in the dead of night, they didn't realize that one single evening would alter the course of their lives forever. The facts show this wasn't an accident, but a calculated plan. They thought the darkness would shield them, but the long arm of the law always finds the truth. Today, we aren't just balancing books, we are teaching a lesson in basic morality. It was midnight, a time when the rest of the world is asleep, when Marcus planned his secret escape from his home. He snuck out through the back door specifically so his mother wouldn't catch him, a clear and intentional act of defiance. One must ask, why does a teenager feel the need to crawl out of their own house like a thief in the night? Marcus claims his friend picked him up on a motorcycle, yet that same friend doesn't even know how to ride one. This blatant lie hit my ears instantly, signaling a desperate attempt to bury the truth. They coordinated this entire heist through text messages, which they conveniently deleted afterward to destroy the evidence. This misuse of technology to hide a crime proves there was premeditation and a guilty conscience. How such a dangerous plot formed under the guise of an ordinary friendship is truly alarming. The situation escalated when Marcus and his friend took Miss McCoy's truck without a shred of permission. Apparently, a motorcycle wasn't enough. They wanted the thrill of a joyride in a heavy-duty vehicle. They chose the truck because it offered more room to show off and cruise the streets with a false sense of power. Marcus admitted he was the one behind the wheel, despite having no legal right, age, or license to operate such a vehicle. It is a classic, frustrating example of modern juvenile delinquency, treating someone else's hard-earned property like a toy. This total lack of respect for the property of others is a symptom of a deeper societal rot. They thought it was just a night of fun, never imagining that playing with someone else's livelihood would lead to such a catastrophic end. That truck became the instrument of their downfall and exposed their true characters. Shortly after taking the vehicle, the inevitable happened. A violent accident that serves as the turning point of this case. Marcus alleges his friend was high and suddenly jerked the steering wheel, causing the truck to jump the curb and crash. Such a struggle for control in a moving vehicle only happens when common sense has completely vanished. When drugs and impulsivity meet, a disaster is guaranteed, and these boys walked right into that trap. Marcus knew his friend was intoxicated, yet he proceeded with this high-stakes crime anyway, showing a total disregard for his own life and the lives of others. Now that the truck is mangled, no one wants to take financial responsibility. Everyone is busy pointing fingers, trying to look innocent in a room full of guilt. But in my courtroom, there is no substitute for the truth, and both are equally responsible for every second of that crash. Following the wreck, the police were called, and both boys were caught red-handed and arrested, the first dark stain on their records. They both stood before a juvenile court and pleaded guilty to taking a vehicle that did not belong to them. The court slapped them with a massive restitution order of $4,330.86, intended to be split 50-50 between them. However, the complexity started when the defendant's side flatly refused to pay their share of the damage. Miss McCoy was forced to pay the full amount out of pocket just to protect her son's future and keep his record clean. Now, she is here seeking the half that the other party owes her, which is a perfectly reasonable demand. They didn't learn the lesson they should have from their arrest, which is why they find themselves back in a courtroom today. Part 1 ends here, with the crime detailed, but the moral and financial debt still very much unpaid. When the defendant asks why they should have to pay, my blood begins to boil. Their logic is that since the money was going to Miss McCoy anyway, they shouldn't have to pay her back. They failed to grasp that Miss McCoy essentially gave the court a loan on their behalf to settle the legal matter. For a parent to refuse to take responsibility for their child's destruction is shameful, and the defendant's stubbornness is intolerable. They are looking for legal loopholes to dodge a $2,000 debt that they legally and morally owe. When a court issues an order, it is a mandate, not a suggestion to be debated later. Just because Miss McCoy acted out of necessity to settle the case doesn't mean the defendant is suddenly off the hook. This kind of stalling only obstructs justice. I am here to shut down this unethical behavior and ensure the person who paid the bill is made whole. The most suspicious element of this entire case is the disappearing text messages And the missing computer. Marcus claims his computer is gone and his phone messages were miraculously wiped. As a judge, I know that people only destroy evidence when they have something to hide. Those messages likely contained the smoking gun, the proof of who really masterminded this midnight disaster. In the digital age, "I deleted it" has become the standard excuse for the guilty, but it only makes a judge more certain of the deception. They sit here blaming each other, yet if those texts existed, the truth would be as clear as day. This lack of physical evidence forces me to rely on the surrounding facts and the lack of credibility in their story. Hiding information after a crime is a second offense in itself, and these boys have made it a habit. The court gave these boys a golden ticket: pay the restitution, and your records will be sealed and expunged. It was a chance to start over, especially for a kid looking to play sports or build a career. However, Marcus clearly didn't value that opportunity because he went right back out and got arrested again for vandalism. This proves he learned absolutely nothing from the first incident and has no intention of changing his ways. When a young person repeatedly flouts the law, it is a sign that the discipline at home has completely broken down. Miss McCoy cared enough about her son's future to pay the debt, while the other side is only interested in looking out for themselves. This pattern of behavior leads to much darker paths. When you mistake the leniency of the law for weakness, you eventually run into a judge like me. My rulings are always based on cold, hard facts, not emotions or excuses. Since a previous court already determined that the liability is split 50-50, there is no room for further argument. The amount of $2,165.43, exactly half of the total, must be paid back to Miss McCoy immediately. This money is not a gift or a suggestion. It is a legal obligation that cannot be ignored. The defendant's mother should have used this as a teaching moment for her son to take accountability for his actions. Instead, they come into my courtroom with irrelevant arguments and hollow claims of innocence. This fight is about more than just a check. It's about self-respect and doing what is right. I will ensure Miss McCoy receives every cent she is owed. The law applies to everyone equally, and the days of damaging someone's property without paying the price are over. In conclusion, I am finding in favor of the plaintiff and ordering the defendant to pay the requested amount in full. This case serves as a massive lesson. Every action has a consequence, and there is no escape from responsibility. Teenage fun should never cross the line into criminality, and parents must keep a much tighter leash on their children. If you refuse to stop your child from walking the wrong path, eventually the court will have to do it for you. Young men like Marcus need to understand that a successful future is built on honesty and discipline, not joyrides and lies. Before you leave this courtroom, I hope you feel the weight of your mistakes and strive to become a productive member of society. Protecting the property and trust of others is a moral duty, and for those who break it, the door of the law remains wide open. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,165.43. We are adjourned.